Hey guys, it's Noah, Xylo, whatever you guys would rather call me, I don't care. I just wanted to go over one of the changes that I saw some conversation about in the chat based off of the adjustments I want to make, and specifically the Skye to Fade change. So why do I think it's important? I want to talk about that. And to do that, I'm actually going to start by talking about what our weaknesses were in our split game, or at least some of them that were most noticeable and more on a macro level rather than like simple stuff like communication. I also want to talk about how Skye's weaknesses as an agent kind of feed into those weaknesses as a team, and I'm going to talk about how Fade as an agent kind of remedies some of that. So let's start with Fade's weaknesses, because I think that's going to be the easiest place to start. Well, let's make this simple. The obvious weakness, she doesn't have regening util, right? So if you use a flash, that flash is gone the rest of the round. It's something that we play around actually as a team. So if we hear a Skye flash or a Yoru flash, right, we calm that. We're like, okay, Skye used one flash, and once Skye uses both flashes, we actually communicate that. We say, okay, Skye has no more flashes. Why do we do that? Well, because it's something you play around. It's a weakness of hers, right? And then the weakness of the dog, I'm not even going to talk about the heal, because the heal is only good if you win a fight and don't die, right? It doesn't actually help you take a fight or help you clear space. It's just not that good, in my opinion. But the dog, this is Skye's best piece of utility, hands down, in my opinion. It's the only piece of utility that gives her conclusive information, which to me that just means information that tells you exactly where somebody is or exactly what's going on in a spot. Right, so it tells you, oh, there's a trip here, a guy standing right there, a guy here. Sorry. And it tells you all that stuff exactly, right? There's no ambiguity. Versus her flash, which if this flashes somebody, there could be a guy back here, could be a guy here. It's not conclusive, right? It's general information. It's accurate information, but it's general. It's not precise. So how do these, well, I guess let's start by actually talking like, what are our team weaknesses then? So we really have one major weakness, and it's our tempo, right? We tend to be way too slow on defense and way too fast on offense. And what I mean by that is, on defense, we don't like to take space, right? Specifically on Split and Lotus, this was an issue. On Bind, actually, it was not an issue. And guess what? We won Bind by a lot. And what do I mean by that? On Bind, we fought for the orbs, the extremities of the map, almost every round, if not every round. I don't know if it was every round, but it was most rounds, right? And guess what? Well, that led to us having that map control. Even if we weren't fighting for orbs, we would still fight for showers, right? So, like, stuff like that, that's just us fighting for that extremities. And that's good for us. We played well around that, and that's why we won, or part of at least why we won by so much, because we always had that map control, and it let us call plays that were just so much simpler and easier to coordinate together with, right? We didn't have to like play around the fact that we had zero like information the whole time, because we didn't. We never did. We always held part of the map. But then how is that different from our Split and Lotus games? Well, on Split especially, we never took space, ever. We would, like, well, occasionally we would call, like, an A-main fight with the Omen Blind and stuff like that and take that space. But aside from that, we really didn't have the tools to do it either. Like, if we used the Skye Flash, really, like, every time we invested it, we were actually, like, losing it. Like, the, opportunity cost of it would be the fact that we can't use that Skye Flash for retake. And since, we were playing heavy retake on B, well, then we didn't want to invest that util early. Well, what did we do then? Well, when we pushed, we ended up having to be like, okay, well, we're not going to have util for B. So now, let's play to hold B, and that's kind of what happens, right? So Vice is now holding B. Well, they're rushing in B, so what do? Well, you just die, right? So, like, all these issues are actually linked together, and it all comes down to the fact that we're afraid to spend that util to get space because we're losing it later on in the round, right? It's the opportunity cost. And the, like, other thing is, like, if we don't use it and we save it for retake, then we have no idea where they are. So we're spreading around the map with no information because we have no map control. So they're just able to group maybe even get a pick somewhere, and then after they get that, it's like we just lose the round because they have the full site, they have the entire map in terms of map control, and like either we have util for retake or we don't, but it doesn't end up mattering because they would just walk on mid and kill us if we like ended up retaking with util, and if we didn't have util for retake, we would lose because we have no util for retake. So it's like, what do we do here? This is terrible. And now let's talk about offense, right? Well, one of our main issues is, okay, well, we're too fast, right? We're 5 stacking. Okay, this is an issue, because we have no map control elsewhere, and they were just stuffing us out with breach util specifically, right? We would go somewhere, oh, breach done. Wow, we're all dead. This is great. Terrible, like situation. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to default. So what are we gonna do to default? Okay, we pop a resonate here. Let's maybe use a sky flash here. Oh, now we only have one sky flash left, right? So and that's the exact issue that I'm talking about. When we use this, we're losing one of our major sources of information. And if we use the Skye dog, which is even better, right? Like in terms of info gather. In fact, it's her best piece of info gather, and really her only piece of info gather, in my opinion. But if we use that Skye dog, then we have nothing for entry at all. Because like you might say, okay, well we have the flash for entry, but if we use the flash for entry, then we like, one, we could have just used the Yoru flash, and two, like if we're walking out right behind the flash anyway, it's not giving us info. Like, we're gonna get that info anyway if we're walking out behind the flash. Like, are you seriously telling me that like we're not gonna look this way when we're walking out of the smoke because we're using a flash? No, because you're gonna kill the guys that are flashed. Like, that would be stupid if you just walked out of the smoke that like because you flashed and didn't clear anything. Like, that would be stupid. Even if the sky flash doesn't like flash anything, you're probably gonna hold like this because you don't know if somebody just dodged it and they peek out on you, right? Like, it's just not conclusive information. It's not the same as like actual info gather, like the dog. Excuse me, like the dog, where you clear this and you know nobody's gonna peek there because there's nobody there, or you know nobody's gonna peek here because there's not anybody there, right? And obviously they could go there after, but that's like a timing. That's a whole different thing, and that's where that game sense comes in. But still, like this, that's what I'm talking about, right? So any info that the Skye bird is getting, it's like you're gonna get it anyway when you're pushing on offense. So I sort of got off on a huge tangent there, but how does the issue with like not having this regenning util actually play into the fact that we're 5 stacking? Well, since we only have one piece of conclusive info gather, which is the dog, when we're using the dog, we pretty much have to be going out because we can't like re-clear anything after we use the dog, without like investing players there. So like if we dog mid, then we don't have it for the rest of the round. So we have the incentive to take mid and then play off of that. Maybe push into B tower or push B site if we dogged B garage, because we know that we can't re-clear space anymore without it. So now let's kind of extrapolate that on a like larger scale here. Since we're afraid of not pushing without the dog or without the Skye util, or rather piece of util, then we need to always be around the Skye so that when the Skye is ready to use that util, like we're going out. Like if we're dogging this, we need to be going out now, you know, because we have nothing else in now. So that kind of leads you to think, okay, well, let's just 4-stack everything. So that was a major issue of ours. And like even think at like when we did default, what was the major issue? Well, how are you going to get this space without like any info, right? Or how are you going to clear this without info? Obviously we had the boombot for some of it, but still it's like a fairly weak default because you just have nothing, and once you use it, you can't use it for your site hit, which makes your defaults really bad because you pretty much just have to play fast the whole half, which isn't how we're good as a team. We're much better at playing slow. So now that we've kind of talked about the Skye and the Skye issues and the issues that we have as a team, and how I think Skye plays into those issues, let's actually switch to Fade and kind of like think about how that playing Fade might kind of alleviate some of those issues. And it's not going to eliminate them because obviously team-based issues are going to be partially just like skill issues, right? Like we have to work around them as a team. We have to get better and not do these things anymore. Partially in terms of like communication and calling, but like part of it there is just like we didn't have tools to do anything else, so we had to do it, and it wasn't working. So what do you do? But let's look at Fade now. So Fade actually has three major pieces of info gather that do give conclusive info. So she has her dog, which tells you exactly where somebody is if it scans them, right? And it'll kind of trail them. She has two of those. And then she has her eye, which obviously is like a dart, but huge hitbox and it's line of sight instead of it sticking on walls and all that. But it's also conclusive. Like it'll reveal them to you, and you can wallbang them, whatever it is. It'll give them a trail for your prowler. Like it's good, right? It's just good for reclear. And the major thing here is this eye regens. So if we use it in an early round situation, we're not giving it up for the rest of the round. We're just waiting for it on that 45-second cooldown, which is admittedly a long time, but when a round is a minute 40, like it's not as bad as, you know, giving up those sky flashes for a minute and 40 seconds versus 45 seconds. Well, I'm taking that minute 40, right? For conclusive information, it's just better. So now let's think about like how that actually changes things, right? Well, we can constantly be reclearing space. Like if we use this prowler to clear all this, that doesn't mean we can't like conclusively reclear anything else anymore, like it would if we used a Skydog there. We can actually go mid and reclear this space, right? So it's not as risky for us to not 5-stack or 4-stack, whatever it ends up being, because we have more util to exec, and we can invest utility early without worrying about losing that utility in the actual site execute, which again, that's two of our major issues on attack. So we can now slow down the round and say, okay, we're going to take B garage in the early round, and then we're going to go mid and take that mid space with somebody else, and then after that we're going to, you know, fade eye out and take this space, and you still have this prowler if you want to use it for more info, right? Like that's a big difference between the Skye, where okay, we use the dog, so now we can't clear B back anymore. We can't clear like this, right? And you might say, okay, well, you could flash back here. Yes, you could flash back here, but one, this is wall bangable, so you're not getting this kill, and two, you're gonna flash anybody who's main and anybody who's here. Like you're getting nothing off that, and three, like anybody who's like actually sitting back here and like or here is gonna get flashed. It's not just the guy who's like sitting in this corner who will be flashed. It's gonna be anybody who it could get flashed, right? So it's not conclusive. You don't know that somebody's back here. You just know somebody's on this side of the site, which is a major difference when you're like a duelist and you're satcheling in. I don't have to clear this versus I do have to clear this. That's a big difference, right? Like just having that conclusive info. So now let's I think that's pretty much enough on attack side, right? Like you have that slow stuff, like you can slow down rounds now because you have util that's regenning and you have more of it. So now that like that's the essentials of attack. So let's move to defense now. So how is this actually going to help us with our defense issues? Again, our issues with defense was we were afraid to invest that util to take space early because that was us losing it then for the retake, which we were playing retake B, so we couldn't really like use it early because we knew we were going to retake if they went B. Like it was a huge investment. But if we're playing Fade, that dog is conclusive information. We know somebody's here. Or if we're using the eye, which you might be using here, it's kind of a weird spot to use it. It's definitely getting shot, and you're getting the same info as a dog then if it's getting shot, but still, you could use the eye there. It doesn't really matter, but you're getting this space early, or like you're getting that info early, and you're not giving up that retake utility because you have another dog and you have the eye. And if you're using the eye early in the round, you can be constantly re-clearing space without investing players. Like you don't have to have like guys swinging off it to see exactly where people are, or like to eliminate options, right? Because like if this is smoked off, like male here, and you sky flash through and it flashes somebody, you don't know if they're up here or if they're down here, right? So they could be going vents as like that happens, or they could just be going sewers. It's impossible for you to know just off the sky flash. But if you dog and it catches somebody right away, I don't know what's going on with Discord here, but if it catches somebody right away, you know they're right here. What the hell? This is weird. But anyway, yeah, you know it's there's gonna be somebody right here, so you know this is an option, right? Or you know they're gonna push into you. Versus the sky flash, you don't know that stuff because it's not conclusive information, and you don't want to use the dog because that's your only piece of conclusive information. And if you do use it, then you know you can't re-clear anything else later in the round. Versus like if you're eyeing here, like you know you still have stuff to re-clear stuff or to retake with, because that's just the strength of Fade, right? She has that ability. So yeah, hopefully this wasn't too long. I just wanted to go over that stuff. Those are the main reasons, right? Like again, the issues that I had for attack was we were too quick, because we didn't have the tools to play slow. And for defense, we were too slow because we didn't have the tools to play fast, or rather to take space. Not necessarily slow, but not necessarily play fast, but take space. So, and then I kind of explained like Fade's util, the regen util. That's what gives us that ability. What lets us play dynamic rounds, because you don't have a fixed amount of utility. You can play dynamic rounds with your dynamic util set. So, yeah, hopefully this clears up any kind of confusion that you guys have. Yeah, so